Hello and welcome back to Supposedly Fun. My name is Greg and I am here today to do a Friday Reads video. This is where I wrap up the week in reading and talk about anything that's really been going on. I did finish one book this week, which we'll talk about when we get to the actual Friday Reads portion of this video, but otherwise it's been a bit of a slumpy reading week, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that mostly what I want to talk about today are plans for the channel for next week, because there's a lot going on. Before I do that, I should mention that I am filming this on St. Patrick's Day. So you can see I'm wearing a green shirt. It says dibs on the redhead. Joel is obviously my redhead. So it worked. I remember one time I wore this to a Celtic games here in Montana, and an older man walked up to me and pointed at my t-shirt and said, "Did you get your redhead?" And I just said, "Yes, I did." And he said, "They're the best, aren't they?" And I said, "Yes, they are." And I don't think he had any idea I was talking about a man, but for all I know, he was talking about a man. So, anyway, just a funny story. So it's the only specifically St. Patrick's Day shirt I have. So I thought I'd wear it today. Why not? It's fun. Happy St. Patrick's Day if you celebrate. Really, all I do to celebrate is wear green. But here I am. So anyway, we'll get to the Friday Reads portion in a little bit. That's where we'll talk about the one book I finished and the two books I have ongoing. So if you follow along, you know that we are taking Jamie to be treated for a nasal tumor. Jamie is our dog. And so we don't really know what the treatment is going to look like. So there's a chance we could be at the hospital for 2 days. There's a chance we could be there for a week. We really don't know. So we're going to be over there, and I'm thinking a lot of people had said that I shouldn't worry about putting anything up on the channel while I'm gone. And I really do appreciate that. I want to get at least one thing going. So I'm going to try to keep this Friday Reads video short because I'm hoping I can film at least one other video today. And I'm rambling a little bit. In that way of getting ready to go on a trip, even if it's not like a vacation, there's a lot of stuff to do and get in place. And that's kind of where I'm at right now, and where Joel is at right now. So I do want to have at least one video filmed and scheduled, maybe for Monday. And that way there will be something that appears on this channel before Friday Reads time. Because I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do a Friday Reads. If I'm still in Washington when Friday rolls around, I might film a video from the hotel room, or I might not. We'll see. We're going to go on vibes and just figure out where we are at that point. Because the first day that we are there is mostly exams and tests, so they can figure out a treatment plan. And the goal is, by the end of that first day, to have a treatment plan in place that they can begin executing the following day. I don't know if that treatment plan will be in place. We don't know if there's going to be a treatment plan. So we have no idea how long we're going to be there. And because there's a lot of uncertainty, and however long we are there, I'm going to be working out of a hotel room during the day. I don't want to have to worry about doing videos while I'm there. So my goal is to film at least one video today. In a perfect world, I will be able to get 2. And then maybe I'll just won't edit one until next week, because that seems a little more manageable. So of the 2 videos that I have ready to go or on deck, one of the easiest ones to do would be a book haul for the month of March. So usually I hold my book haul until the end of the month, and there are 2 more weeks in March at this point. However, I think it's just one of the easiest videos that I can film today and schedule for next week, and it'll be fine. It'll be fine. So it's a little early, but who cares? So that is probably going to be one that I film today if I have no other option. If there's no time for 2, at least I'll try to film that and schedule it for Monday. And if there's nothing between Monday and Saturday, it'll be fine. I'm not going to push myself too much. The other video I have on deck is I finally got my Pulitzer Prize predictions ready to go this week, but I know I'm going to need a little bit of a longer amount of time to film that. So I don't know if it's going to work today. So my plan is I'll have a book haul for Monday. If I can't get it for Monday, maybe I'll try to get it for Tuesday. We'll see how everything goes. And then there might be another video next week. There might not be. we'll see. If I can film the Pulitzer Prize predictions one, I actually would love to get it posted this weekend. So if you see a book haul on Monday and nothing in between the Friday reads and that, there's a lot of uncertainty. Then I didn't manage to film the Pulitzer Prize predictions. So, all of this just to say, I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to try to get something posted next week, and hopefully that will work. If I can't, if today ends up being really stressful, I'm trying to film this before I start my workday. If today ends up being really stressful and there's just a lot to cram in and I don't manage to film anything, I'm going to allow it to be fine. Maybe I'll put a community post in just letting you know. But as it stands right now, I'm going to try to film at least one video and get it scheduled for next week. And ideally, I will manage to film 2. Obviously, there is a weekend between coming up, but, in the way of everything, there's just going to be a lot going on over the weekend as well. Saturday, we have to run around and do some stuff, get some things lined up to leave, and then we're celebrating my mother-in-law's birthday on Sunday. So lots going on, lots to do. I don't think filming would work over the weekend. I don't like to film over the weekend anyway, because I feel like that's really my time with Joel and Jamie. So I in an ideal world, I don't like to do it anyway, but anyway. So the point of all of this is just to say, if I can get something, there will be stuff scheduled for next week. And I know from the comments before that people are going to be patient, because that was the overwhelming response when I mentioned that I was going to try to film ahead and get stuff done. And I do really appreciate that, because it gives me the sense now that if the day does start getting away from me and there's stress, then I can just let it go. So that's the plan. And that's how we will proceed. Quickly, I should mention the Oscars, because they happened last weekend. And for the first time ever, Joel and I tied in our predictions. So I always print a ballot, and we both make our predictions. And for the first time ever, we tied. I had beaten Joel every other year, but I take it a lot more seriously than he does. But for the first time ever, we tied. And I enjoyed the ceremony. I know a lot of people typically get bored. I am not somebody to do that. I usually do enjoy the ceremony. It takes a lot for me to say, like, this montage shouldn't have been there, because I just tend to enjoy all the pomp and circumstance. I like Everything Everywhere All at Once a lot, so I'm glad to have seen it won a lot. And I thought they made some smart decisions in the programming that really paid off. I think having Halle Berry replace Will Smith, so that she was on stage when Michelle Yeoh became the second woman of color to win a Best Actress Oscar, was a really smart move. And again, it's just really great that it panned out that way instead of having Cate Blanchett win for Tar, because having Halle Berry there added a level of significance to that. And I think having Harrison Ford present Best Picture, knowing that the cast of Everything Everywhere was likely to be coming up on stage, so you would have a moment with Harrison Ford and Ke Huy Quan, that was really smart, and it paid off really well. So I enjoyed the ceremony. There are still some movies I need to catch up on. I haven't seen Women Talking, and I want to, even though All at One was screenplay. But I love the book, and I do really want to see it. I will see The Whale, because it won Best Actor, and I'm curious. I am not sure I will like it, but we'll find out. I am going to try to see it, and I do really want to see The Fabelmans. And then I think once I've seen those 3 movies, I can put this Oscar year to bed. I haven't seen Top Gun Maverick, and the fact that it didn't really win many awards makes me feel like I don't need to. I have not seen Avatar. I am not a huge fan of the first one, so I feel like I'm just going to let those slip away from me and move on and start thinking about new movies. So anyway, I want to keep this fast, so let's move into the Friday Reads portion of the video. As I said, this has just not been a great reading week, and that's okay. I have very much allowed myself some time and space to not read and to sort of process and focus on other things that have been going on. As you can imagine, there's just a lot right now. I did manage to finish one book, and that's The Faraway World by Patricia Engel. This is a story collection. I am a big fan of Infinite Country, which was Patricia Engel's previous book. She does really well with short fiction. Infinite Country is a novella. You could dunk it in your coffee. It's a tiny little thing. And it is very powerful and emotionally resonant. And, it just packs a punch in a tiny little package. And she does really well with short stories as well, because she's very good at introducing you to characters and immersing you in their entire universe very quickly. Like within the span of a couple of pages, you understand who this person is, you understand what their world is like, their life is like, and all of that. She's very good at using short brushstrokes to convey a lot. And she's also deeply empathetic as a writer, and I really respond to that a lot. And I think that's part of why she is able to convey so much to her readers in such a short amount of time. It would almost be interesting to see her take on a longer project, but at the same time, I really don't think she needs to. She clearly has so much skill in the arena of shorter fiction, like novellas and short stories. There's no reason for her to challenge herself like that. But and I just think it's a form that she excels at. She can do so much with a small page count. And it really deals a lot with immigration, this collection. It deals a lot with human stories about the global world and how stuck we can be in it. And it does sort of give you the sense of how we've created these boundaries and we enforce these boundaries. And it really does a good job conveying the impact that those sort of artificial reinforced boundaries have on people. And on a smaller level, it also talks a little bit about how we create these boundaries between our people as well. And I think it's a really beautiful book. And some of the stories are really difficult. There are accidents. There is abuse, there is kind of sexual assault, there are a lot of heavy topics in there. There is drug trafficking. There's a lot that could potentially trigger someone if they were to read it. But I think Patricia Engel handles these stories in such a way that it doesn't feel dramatic. It doesn't feel manipulative at all. And I just think she's a really skilled writer, and I'm glad that I read this book as a follow-up to Infinite Country, because it's not a follow-up. I'm glad that I read it as a follow-up on how much I liked Infinite Country. She's a beautiful writer. I would absolutely read whatever she publishes next. I listened to this on audio, and the audio production is really interesting as well, because they have like a cast of characters. And when I say cast of characters, I don't mean like people reading specific lines. I mean different people narrate each story in the book. And that is a really fun way of presenting these stories. Stories from the Tenants Downstairs by Sadiq Fonfana had a similar approach. And I think it was a little bit better deployed because the people who do the voices in that book brought more energy to the different characterizations in the book. And there's not as much of that in the text of the Faraway world, but a lot of the voices do kind of sound similar. Although there is one that almost sounds like Siri narrating a story, which is kind of weird. But I did really like that approach. So I'm a big fan of Patricia Engel. I would recommend this book. It's short, and I think the fact that it's short is the only thing that really managed to get me through it this week, because I started it on Saturday. So the day that my last Friday Reads video posted, I started reading it, and I finished it yesterday, and it's only like a 6-hour audio, so you can see how I really stretched it out over time. And I think its format was really accessible to me because each story is roughly 45 minutes as an audio, so it didn't feel like a lot to do like one story per day or 2 stories per day. I think there are somewhere between 10 and 12 stories in the book, so I'll allow you to do the math. But so I took a slow approach to it, and that worked really well. And then yesterday I did start another audiobook, but I really didn't make much progress. I finished Patricia Engel's book in the morning, and I almost immediately segued into If I Survive You by Jonathan Escoffery. But the rest of the day, I just didn't really feel like listening to a book. So although that is another collection of sort of linked stories. So I didn't make a lot of progress on it. I barely even started it. but I did get into it. So that is something that I'll probably talk about a lot more next week. I don't know how I'm going to be feeling about reading next week. If it's anything like this week, there might not even be a lot to talk about in a Friday Reads video next week. But we'll see. We'll see. There's no sense trying to predict, because whatever's going to happen is going to happen. So, yeah, I'll get much more into If I Survive You. The opening story, I think I got maybe halfway through it, and I was really enjoying it so far. It's just that I wasn't in the mood to listen to anything for the rest of the day. And I made no progress at all on The Grapes of Wrath. I actually even forgot to grab my copy of the book. So I'm not going to hold it up. And maybe I'll put an image up instead, because, yeah, I could grab my Franklin Library edition off the shelf, but I'm too lazy to get up right now. As I said, it's first thing in the morning. I'm trying to film this before I start my workday, so I am in need of more coffee. So anyway, I made no progress in it. The idea of reducing my note-taking has helped, but I didn't even pick the book up. I think it's just, it's like a psychological, emotional thing right now. I just haven't felt like picking up a book, and I can force myself to keep up with an audio more easily right now. So it's nothing to do with The Grapes of Wrath. It's everything to do with me. I am enjoying The Grapes of Wrath, and I really want to finish it, but I'm also not going to force myself to pick it up and be miserable, because it's not what I want to be doing right now, and it's not what feels good. I've got to go with what feels right emotionally. So I will get through The Grapes of Wrath. Will I manage it by the end of the month? I don't know. But if I don't, what's going to happen? Nothing. I'll carry it into April. It'll be fine. Anyway, that is everything for this Friday Reads video. I'm going to leave it here so I can get into my workday and try to figure out how to fit in at least one other video today. But as always, I thank you so much for the well wishes that you have already left for Jamie. We're hoping there will be a good treatment plan for her, and that she'll be around for a long time to come. We'll see. But all of the kind words and the understanding have really meant a lot. As you know, and I always appreciate anybody spending any time on any of my videos. So if you haven't followed along before, thank you for your time. And as always, I will be back. Until next time, happy reading.